Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Half and Half this morning. This is our last class for the year. We're going to take the next 2 weeks off our live online classes, but we will be back in January in the new year. So today we should just get moving, right? And also, I'll say we got a good playlist of classes for the next couple weeks if you want to keep taking classes. Um, so check those out too. But let's get moving. I have my strap. I'm going to use it in just a second. But let's start with a little bit of mobility in the rib cage, kind of like we did last week. And then maybe using that to fill the breath up a little more. So feet a little bit wider than hip distance. Bend your knees a little bit, like you're just kind of grounding into your feet. Take your hands on your shoulders, and let's do a little twisting in the ribs. Now, we did this seated last week, which is good for helping you feel your pelvis steady. It's harder when you're standing. So really feel that the pelvis stays in place. You have to use the belly as you twist, and you're not twisting all the way from your pelvis and your knee, right? You shouldn't feel anything happen in your feet. Really letting the belly draw in, and then just kind of like find a little momentum, like you just kind of spring back and forth. One more breath in and out, and back to center. We're going to reach your left arm up and your right hand across. You're going to exhale as you reach over to the side. Inhale and come back up. And using the breath to open the ribs. Exhale, inhale up. Nice long reach through not just your waist, but really armpit ribs. Last one. Kind of pulling the ribs down from this other hand. And then switch everything around. So pulling the ribs down as you reach the arm over and back to center. Exhale, let it all open up. Like all those ribs spread apart, fan apart. And last one. And back to center. Grab your strap or your towel. Take your hands about shoulder distance apart. I'm going to keep the feet a little open in this position as we do our pulls. So nice full inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, pull. And can you feel that movement in the ribs with your breath? Nice side ribs opening as well as the front and the back. Nice powerful exhale from your belly. One more time, pull out. And exhale, bend your knees, little tiny squat. We might not even call it a squat, just like, I don't know, bending your knees, a little bit of bending your knees. Two more. Up and stay. Release the tension, big pull out. Exhale, release. Imagine the ribs really open up through the back ribs, through the side ribs. If you had a balloon, when you blew into it, it would blow up all the way around. So if your rib cage were a balloon, feel the breath, the inhale, fill up all the way through that balloon. One more time. And exhale. And we're going to reach up. And exhale, lower. Chest gets to open a little more. And exhale. Shoulder blades moving up. Exhale. Blow the balloon out. One more time, up and stay. And keep that pull out. We're going to do a reach over to the side and open the ribs. I'm going to push with my left foot a little bit so I end up on my right foot, and then back to both feet. And then reach over. Push with your right foot to reach over to the left and open the ribs. Back to center. Now inhaling as you push. Not really about my waist. I'm not going as far as possible. I'm just reaching like super long out with the ribs. A couple more side to side. Last one. Bring the arms down. Take the strap off to the side. Find your way to the floor. We've been playing with all these ways we might get to the floor. What's the way you want to work with? I'm going to go into a deep squat. Scott showed us this last time. Hands come a little bit behind instead of forward. It's the way to do it. Coming all the way down. It works quite well for the long-armed group of us, right? To find that, we could do that pretty easily. And all the way back on your back. Now take your hands on the backs of your legs, heels together, toes apart, so knees are a little bit open, right? As you exhale, the whole rib cage gets a little bit of movement, draws everything in, chest drops, ribs draw together. Use the exhale to bring your head up as you push your legs into your hands. Really come up a little higher than you would for the 100. Let your upper back really open. And then settle your low ribs back into place without letting the shoulder blades touch. Use your hands holding your legs to really help you. And then reaching your legs out a little bit if you like. And we start into the 100. Inhale. Exhale. Inhaling. Full exhale through the ribs. Full breath in through the back. Exhale, drop the chest, draw the belly in. Inhaling. And exhale. Two more. Stay up for a second. Grab the backs of your legs. Bend your knees in as you lower your head and reach one leg straight out on the mat. Flexing that foot on the floor. Both hands hold the other leg. Push your leg a little forward. Now my knee is in line with my shoulder, right? No longer turned out. Inhale. Push your leg forward into your hands. Lift your head. Exhale. Rolling up. Coming back down. Same thing. Inhale, open the back. Exhale. Push that leg into your hands. Push the other foot on the floor as if you were pushing into a wall, right? Really feel that foot pushing forward. And rolling back. Staying down. We're going to do one more inhale and lift. Feel your leg pushing into your hands. Now, draw the other leg in. One hand on each leg. Reach the opposite leg forward. Both hands on one leg. Flexing that foot. Exhale. Rolling up. And inhale, rolling back. Open the back ribs, the side ribs. Exhale, navel in. Low ribs in, chest softens. Sequencing down. And rolling back down. Now, bonus challenge today. You can do your roll up here, right? We've been doing this. We know how to do the roll up with both legs on the floor. Or you can try the bonus challenge, which is kind of helping with rolling like a ball. Both legs in, one hand on each leg. Inhale, lift your head and press your legs forward. Now, maybe you get a little stuck here. So you do a tiny, tiny, tiny rock, right? Don't go crazy. Just a little bit of momentum to help you come up and over and work your way up. And then coming back down, same thing. The heels float off a little bit. You find that kind of rocking chair balance. You try to go as slow as you can, all the way to that 100 position. and then all the way down to your back. Trying that again. Inhale, lift your head. Now I'm really pulling back with my arms, drawing my belly in, pressing my legs forward. Maybe you don't need a rock at all. Maybe you can just slowly press forward and come up. If not, take a little bit of a rock. Rolling back down. How much can you control it so that you don't thud to the floor? All the way back down. All right, let's take your left leg out, flexing the foot like you did a moment ago. Both hands on your right leg. Knee comes a little away from your chest. Relax. Inhale, stretch your leg up. Exhale, bend your knee down. Inhale, reach up. Flex your foot, bend your knee down. All right, leg goes up. We're going to leave it there. Left foot on the floor is flexed. Right leg reaching up. Lower belly, ribs drawing together. I'm going to go arms up to the ceiling. You might do arms on the floor or up to the ceiling. Keeping your torso really steady into leg circles. Inhale across. Exhale around and up. So when my arms are up to the ceiling, I can't use my hands on the floor to help me at all, right? So that can be kind of interesting. Are you really holding with your center, or are you doing more with your hands kind of pushing to keep you steady? Reversing, inhale, open, pelvis stay steady. Exhale, round it up. Inhale, full exhale. 2 more. Now we're going to get a nice transition here. Bend your knee, hold your leg with your right hand, use your belly, float the left leg in. Use your belly, control your right leg out to the floor. Place it down, flex it. Both hands hold the left leg. Reaching up, flex your foot, coming back down. Inhale, pointing up. Exhale, flexing down. And take the leg up and stay. Hands come away, and we start going across. Left leg goes to the right. Circle around, back to center. Inhale across, exhale. My right oblique has to work harder and harder as I get towards the end of this exercise. Gotta really hold that right side still as the left leg opens. And then reverse, a little bit open using the right oblique. Exhale down across, back to center. Two more. All right, bending your left knee, grab on, use your belly, float your right leg in, holding on. Now either a rock up to sitting or a slow motion roll up like we did earlier. Or that little combined, roll up a little and then rock up. Can you find your balance and just keep your balance with your feet off the floor, all ready for rolling like a ball? Let's do at least 2 rocking chairs, curling under to pause. Exhale, keep that feeling as you come up, right? Whatever you do to go back, you know what it feels like to go back? When you come up, could you feel like you're still going back? Like you're still trying to do the back on the way up? It really drives you into your belly. Now, either rocking chair or rolling like a ball. Same thing as you come up. You still have that strength of what it takes to go back. Belly pulls back as the head goes forward, the legs reach forward. And maybe you're feeling how that slow motion rolling like a ball we did instead of roll up translates into less momentum when you do rolling like a ball. More control. One more. Taking your feet out. Arms reach out in front of you. Open the arms really wide. Take a little reach out through both arms. Feel your back really wide, your chest really wide. And then as you bring your arms towards the front, keep that wide feeling in your back and your chest, even though the arms reach forward. Draw your belly in to do it and exhale. Inhale out. Now, breath is key. Let's make breath a priority. How long do you exhale? Could you empty out longer than you normally would? And then wait for the inhale to start. It really truly initiates your roll up. And you let the breath guide the movement. And your movement may end up faster or slower than mine, depending on what your breath is like. Last one. All right, let's take a look at saw a little bit. We're going to play around with this position. So legs are hip distance apart, or maybe you like to do saw in a chair, which is just fine. You can do this in a chair. We're going to look at rocking sits bone to sits bone. And so that rock sits bone to sits bone, you're going to push with one hand down and feel your weight shift over to one side and then back to center. And then feel the push with the other hand, either with the fingertips or the hand. And feel what happens as you move onto one side of the pelvis. Whole body, notice as I rotate, right? Like as I push, I'm tending to rotate. Now we're going to take that rotation, and maybe you watch this time. I'm in that rotation, I'm on the one hip. Now I'm going to try to pull the other hip back, but stay rotated, right? Both sits bones down. Now do it again. Reach over and take your opposite arm across like you were doing saw. And then feel what it's like to reach the opposite hip down. And tipping forward and over. And then reach the opposite hip down. Shifting over. Maybe your hand even touches your foot. Reach the opposite hip down. Right? Let's take it the other way. Little tip over to one side. Reach the opposite arm across, maybe. Use your belly on your opposite side to pull the hip down. And reach. Pull it down. And I feel that whole side of the belly coming on, as opposed to the hip trying to do it. All right, now both sits bones are really grounded. Reach your arms out wide. Rotate without lifting the hip. Reach forward with the opposite arm. Keep the hip down. Keep the opposite side belly pulling back. Rolling back to center. Inhale, twist. Exhale, keep the opposite hip down. And twisting. Opposite hip. Held by that opposite oblique. Reach the arm way across as you twist. And back to center. Now, if all that's going well for you, you could think about the back arm as well. The back arm reaches back and up. You have a long diagonal from your front arm to your back fingertips. Relax. All right, let's go on to your stomach. So always in swan, right after saw, it's good to think about the front of the hips being really open and long after they maybe got a little bit tight in that last exercise. So imagine one leg stretching out a little longer and letting the hip open. And then imagine the other leg stretching out a little longer and that hip opening. Now I said imagine, right? Maybe you did, maybe you imagined. Do something in between, like a little bit of stretch in the leg, but like just a tiny bit, and really just visualize that front of the hip opening. My foot isn't even leaving the floor, right? Just a little bit of reach, tiny, tiny bit of reach, thinking about the belly coming on, the hip opening. Now, both feet get that tiny, barely perceptible reach out as your belly lifts, hands under your shoulders, and we start the swan. Inhale, exhale. And then once you're up, just a little sense of belly lifting, front of the hip opening more, lower back down. 2 more. Inhale, exhale. Last one. And resting. All right. Now I'm going to do a little push to roll onto my side. I'm going to bend my knees, come up to sitting. Just a little new transition if you want a new transition. If you're like, no, I want to do child's pose. Well, maybe you did that. That's fine too. Ready for shoulder bridge. Now, let's take your hands before we go into shoulder bridge, drape them across your chest, right? So just like I'm giving myself a hug, hands reaching all the way around. And like I could hold all the way on my shoulder blades. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I have super long arms and flexible shoulders, so I can. But wherever you hold, just thinking that you're kind of holding the rib cage. And then like we did at the very beginning, do a little like rock side to side. Let the rib cage roll a little bit side to side without the knees moving, without the pelvis moving. It's kind of a weird movement. What does it feel like in this position? Just feeling one side of the rib heavier, other side of the rib cage heavier. And then settle into center. Rib cage relaxes, arms relax on the floor, and you feel a nice wide sense of your back here. And then as you're ready, pressing into the feet, pelvis, lower back, ribs stay wide as you come up into shoulder bridge. Rolling back down. Wow, keeping my upper back and ribs wide really got my hamstrings to come on. I don't know about you. It's so interesting how those connections happen. So see if you can feel that nice wide upper back, super relaxed rib cage, using the feet, moving the pelvis without tightening up in the ribs. How much do your hamstrings come on? And I'm not going very high with my pelvis. I'm keeping my upper back really grounded and open. One more time. This time as you get up there, open front of the hips, knees forward, upper back relaxed, rolling back down. And relax everything. All right, I'm going to add in another one. Slow motion. Roll it to sitting if you want it. Inhale. Exhale. Coming up to the balance here. Come onto one side. All right, now maybe your head on the floor, long feeling, finger to ribs. Maybe your head in your hand, long feeling, elbow to ribs. Either way. Top leg up. Let's go forward and back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And forward. And back. And forward. And back. Now let's take this top hand and put it on your rib cage. Just feel, can that rib cage stay still or is it moving back and forth? Last one. Now we're going to do a little special holiday sidekick here. We're going to go forward. We're going to make a little rainbow arc over to the back. And then inhale forward. And exhale, draw a little arc with your toes until you end up in the back position. One more. Belly, hips stay where they are. I think we should do another one, even though I said one more. It's just like one more cookie. No, two more cookies. Yes, they're as good as cookies, right? Cookies are pretty good. All right, let's go to the other side. Long reach, finger to ribs, or long reach, elbow to ribs. Top leg a little lifted. And we go. Inhale. Exhale. And forward. Reach all the way from the toenails. Take that hand, put it on your rib cage. Leave your rib cage where it is as you go. All right, let's take our little bonus holiday rainbows. Over and back and forward and over. And ribs don't move, pelvis doesn't move, bottom leg doesn't move. One more time. Really, one more time. And bring it together. All right. Bring yourself up to sitting. I am done. Let's see what Scott has for us.
Hey there, everybody. So let's continue in that thread, doing some movement, and start with the sumo squat. If you recall, that's where you step your feet apart. And then from your hip sockets, turn out. And then with the exhale, bend your ankles, knees, and hips. And then with the inhale, come on up. So maybe you already noticed that as I go into triple flexion, my torso does come forward. And then as I come up, torso returns. Exhale, inhale. So next time in the triple flex position, pause there. So last week I presented lifting the heels as being about balance training, which it is. Could as easily have talked about training the arches, healthy feet. Could also have easily talked about the benefits in working the deep calf muscles for overall whole body health. Whatever most inspires you, take both heels up and then slowly over a count of 5, descend both heels down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Contact. Press your feet down to generate the lift up, and then step your feet together. Stand tall. A lot of us have the habit, especially when the weather gets cold or maybe the sidewalks get slippery, that we tend to hunker down. So explore the opportunity to hold your head up high, to lightly draw your shoulders back. But the key thing in standing tall and opening your chest is not by pushing the lower ribs forward. That puts a lot of strain on the lower back. Keeping your ribs connected, keeping your ribs knit, then lifting, then opening. And a few breaths here. So in a few moments, what we're going to do is take the torso and move it from side to side. Start by stepping your feet wide apart. Turn left foot in, right foot out. 3, bend and straighten. Exhale. Inhale. 2, 3. And then on the 4th bend, maintain the bent knee. From here then, tip your hips to place your elbow on your knee. And taking your upper arm up and toward the floor, turn your nose. And come on up and back to the front. Second side, right foot in, left foot out. 3, bend and straight. Next time your knee is bent, pause there. And tip your hips, move your torso from vertical to diagonal. And because of some old injuries, the second side's a little bit harder for me. Not necessarily always the case, so the two sides feel the same. Take your upper arm up, and then toward the floor, turn your nose. And then come on up, back to the front, step your feet together. So in honor of winter, practice standing tall. But standing tall in the way that doesn't have unintended consequences. So often at the thought of standing tall, people jut their lower ribs forward. And then a week or 2 or 4 weeks later, wonder why their back hurts. It's one of the reasons knit the ribs is so important. Then maintaining that dynamic connection, hold your head up. Then maintaining that knitting, open up your chest. All right, side angle, another variation. Step your feet wide apart. Left foot in, right foot out. Exhale, bend. Pause for the in-breath. Exhale, tip from vertical to diagonal, but this time not as far over, hand to knee. And sweep your upper arm forward and through. And a little spine rotation to look up at the ceiling. And then ride the next inhale up and back to the front. Second side. Exhale, bend. Pause for the in-breath. Exhale, tip. And then as a continuation of that diagonal, bring your arm forward and through, and a little spinal twist. And then inhale up and step back to the middle. Few breaths here. All right, so now let's work on creating a little bit more length in the front of the hips. So let's walk. Begin by bringing hands on your hips. Take that left foot a little bit back. And then the walk part of Soa's walk. Inhale, back heel lifts to come forward. Exhale, heel down. Now, the next time your back heel's lifted, pause with that lift. And now reach that heel back and down to support opening in the front of your hip. Check to make sure that you didn't arch your lower back to compensate for hip flexor tension. Then once you can feel that there's length in your lower back, bring your arms forward and upward. And back to standing. Two sides feel the same. In my body, I notice quite a difference left side to right side. I don't know about you, but let's do the second side. Now step your right foot back. And the walk part of Soa's walk. Next time that back heel is lifted, let's pause there. And in a moment, imagine that that heel is going to telescope out of your belly to reach the floor. And once you feel that heel on the floor, arms forward, continuing to arms upward. And breathe. And back to standing. Knit your ribs. Hold your head up high. And open up your chest. But please don't hold that too rigidly. Let there be a quality of looseness as you work with your posture. All right. So now let's continue the thread of opening the fronts of the hips with the high lunge. Hands on your hips to begin. Take your left foot back, farther back this time. And keeping now that back heel lifted. Exhale, bend your front knee. Inhale, straighten your front knee. Best you can, keeping your back knee, left knee straight. The next time that front knee is bent, let's pause there. Now in a moment, we're going to do a transition that we haven't done this whole fall in honor of the upcoming new year. Bring your arms forward and upward. Like you're going to lift your back ribs up and out of your tailbone. Then imagine if you were a superhero flying through the air. Launch forward. Bring your hands to the floor. And step your feet back to yoga pose, head down dog. Maybe you didn't see that transition coming. Let's take a few breaths here in head down dog. And walk your feet forward up to your hands, culminating in gorilla pose. And let your head hang. Full weight of your head pours to the floor. And maybe you can already feel the increased space between your vertebrae. And now roll your spine up. Arms up, chin up, and back to standing. Now, perhaps you're thinking to yourself, wow, all those transitions, maybe you forgot the second side. Not today. Second side, hands on your hips. Which foot steps back? To your right one. Remember, I'm mirror image, so I'm stepping my left. You step your second side back. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. As you bend and straighten the front knee, back knee stays more or less straight. Next time that front knee bent, pause there. Let your tailbone drop down to the floor. Then as your tailbone drops down, bring your arms forward and upward to help lift your back ribs up and out of your tailbone. Lengthen your lower back. Then like a superhero, launch forward, long spine. And step back to head down dog. Couple breaths here. And then step forward to gorilla. Fold. And to help increase the mobility in your spine, roll up. Arms down. All right. Do a little bit more mobility work. Hands on your hips. Step your feet medium width apart. Left foot in, right foot out. Left foot a little bit more in to face toward your side wall. Then most of the bend from your hip sockets. And when there's no more hip flexion, then add in spinal flexion. Ultimately looking into your knee or maybe even into your thigh. Rolling up. Back to the front. Second side. Primary fold from the hips. Secondary fold from the spine. Then come on up. Back to the front. Step your feet together. Now we're going to use a sun salutation to make our way to the floor. First step is to stand tall. All right. Now in a moment, we're going to lift the arms up with an inhale. And what often accompanies that is those lower ribs jutting forward. To get the maximum benefit, maintain the net as you lift your arms, as you inhale. So give it a shot. Okay, begin with an exhale to facilitate knitting your ribs. Keep that knit. Big, expansive up inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, gorilla. Exhale, head down dog. We'll take a few breaths here. And then come on down to your knees and into sitting. So start with a cross-legged position. Now, the majority of the time when we cross our legs, we do so in the same way, the easier way. That's what you did. That's what I did. Switch the leg cross to the way that maybe doesn't feel as familiar. Maybe even feels a little creaky. Then we're going to turn to the right. Bring your left hand across, right hand behind. And rotate your spine, including your neck and head. And breathe. And back in toward the middle. Then the other side. And back in toward the middle. Then to the floor. Bridge is so good. I used to do it a few different times, a few different ways. So start by lightly drawing your shoulders under. And once you feel that your chest is open, then from the shoulder sockets, rotate your arms to bring your palms on the floor. Then inhale, exhale, roll your spine up. And then inhale, exhale, roll your spine down. Again, like that. Last one forthcoming. All right. Now to use the breath to help create more ease, more freedom between the shoulder blades. Flip over onto your belly. And then on your belly, rest your forehead on your hands. And let your chest fully rest into the floor. And breathe deeply. And now bring your arms forward, such that hands are a little bit wider than your shoulders, such that elbows are a little bit lifted off the floor, such that elbows are a little bit bent. And then similarly to the swan, press your hands down to lift your head, to lift your chest. Remember that image of reaching your feet away from your pelvis. And come on down. Hands back by your shoulders. Now we're going to do something really similar, except we're going to add lifting the legs. And breathe. And come on down. To build strength, slowly push up to hands and knees. And then transition to yoga pose, head down dog. 3 breaths. And then come on down and set up in sitting. Maybe you sit up on a chair, maybe on a cushion. So I think most of us, if not all of us, have heard that when you sit at your computer, it's good to sit up straight. A lot of times people suggest that the neck pain comes from slouching. So as best you can, sit up straight. If you recall, we visited this a number of times in standing. And the foundational importance of knitting the ribs. Okay, you're working a little bit, aren't you? Some effort involved. Reduce that effort by 50%. Cut it in half. You're still sitting tall, aren't you? Okay, this current effort, new and improved, more ease. Cut this effort by 50%. And you're still sitting tall, aren't you? Now that's our time. Perhaps over the holidays, you can explore working on your posture, whether standing or seated, and explore how little effort to maintain that beautiful, elegant, upright posture. All right. So as Colette mentioned at the outset, we're going to take a couple weeks and celebrate the holidays. We're going to have some of our best of online. And this would be a really great time to consider our January challenge. So every year at Pilates on Harrison, we have a month-long challenge. And the nice thing about it is that it's a flat fee, monthly fee, for all our classes. And it's a really great way to come out of the holiday season and maybe uphold some of your intentions or resolutions for the year. So please check out pilatesonharrison.com for more information on January challenge. And it's a low fee per month. And then if you participate in a lot of classes, you have a chance to win a free month. A lot of people get January and February for one low price. All right, that's it. Thanks so much. Happy holidays.